The Schlüterhof is brand new. It's been completely rebuilt over the last 7 years, but the design of 3 of its facades is over 300 years old.
The cobblestones on which we stand may look old, but they're also brand new, and under them you won't find Mark Brandenburg sand. Instead, there are cellars full of technology that ensures the right climate in the museum areas above. There are large exhibits and heavy showcases, and that's why the engineers of the Humboldt Forum also designed a double shell facade. On the outside, the Baroque-looking one, and behind it the modern reinforced concrete, which takes up these enormous loads. But these are problems that Andreas Schlüter had nothing to do with.
Exactly. 300 years ago, Andreas Schlüter was commissioned to build a modern Baroque palace here. But he had the problem that he was supposed to convert an existing building, so he couldn't start from scratch. Instead, there were already 2 wings of the Renaissance palace on either side, in front of which he placed a new Baroque facade, and you can still see in many places today that this facade is not quite symmetrical. Here, for example, Portal 6, the largest portal in the Schlüterhof, is not even in the middle of the building. On this side there are only 3 window axes, and here there are 7, because Schlüter had to take over the existing staircase in the Renaissance castle, and so he had to live with the fact that the facade is asymmetrical.
So Andreas Schlüter had to deal with an existing building and came up with a brilliant solution. And Franco Stella, the architect of the Humboldt Forum, also dealt with his predecessor in the spirit of Andreas Schlüter, so to speak. And when he designed the 4th facade here in the Schlüterhof, which obviously doesn't look Baroque, he still referred to the dimensions and proportions of Andreas Schlüter. So it's a bit of a dialogue, an interplay between 2 architects. This theme of old and new runs through it. With Franco Stella, we have the concrete that will probably not darken. With the Baroque facades, we have the sandstone that will darken more over the next 10 to 20 years. Then this contrast between old and new will become even more apparent, a contrast which can also be seen in other places in the Schlüterhof.
Precisely, this sandstone, due to a natural chemical process, will turn black with time. You can only see this in one spot at the moment, namely this one piece here under the balcony slab of Portal 6. There you can see a stone that's almost turned black. This is an original part of the Berlin Palace, and the fact that the new sandstone is still very bright means you can see this clearly in the Humboldt Forum at the places where we were able to use original elements. At the moment, you can also see it very clearly if you walk through the door into the sculpture hall, where you'll find original sculptures from the Schlüterhof. They're also black, while the sculptures that were placed here 14 days ago and were only created in the last few years are still completely white because the stone is still very fresh.
Old and new, demolition, reconstruction, new construction. These are themes that run through the whole place. There's been a lot of demolition, rebuilding and rebuilding again. And one shouldn't forget that it was exactly on this spot not so long ago that a quite different building stood. The Palace of the Republic, the show palace of the GDR, which was demolished in 2006 to 2008 against a backdrop of great public protest.